Okay, so let's set the scene. The year is 2010. Australia, a nation that really prides itself on strategic independence, is rolling its very last operational F-111 into the hangar for good.
And this wasn't just any plane. The pig, as they called it, was. Well, for decades, it was the nation's guarantee of deep strike capability.
It was their long-range fist, a fist that could project real power thousands of kilometers away.
And its retirement didn't just mark the end of an aircraft. It kicked off this fundamental, and I'd say ongoing crisis in Australian defense strategy.
Right. They replaced the F-111 with the F-18 Super Hornet and then later the F-35.
Which are superb aircraft, don't get me wrong. But they're short-leash fighters. They're designed for air superiority, for defense.
Exactly. The F-111 was a wolf. It was a predator designed to hunt deep in enemy territory. The F-18s, the F-35s, they're like highly trained, very fierce guard dogs.
Excellent for protecting the fence line.
But by retiring that wolf without a replacement, Australia effectively just amputated its strategic reach. It created this huge capability gap.
The loss of deep, long-range offensive strike. It was a strategic shift that, frankly, downgraded Australia in the regional power structure.
Yeah, they went overnight from a nation with credible independent deterrence to what analysts are now calling a strategic underdog in the Indo-Pacific.
And that's the core conflict we're seeing play out right now in Canberra.
Australia's ambition to be a major player versus the reality of their political and budgetary limits. The whole defense community is kind of obsessed with solving this one problem.
What they call the tyranny of distance.
Which brings us to our mission for this deep dive.
We're going to analyze the sources calling the American B-21 Raider the literal fulfillment of a destiny for Australia. We need to dissect why this aircraft is seen as the only modern successor to the F-111's legacy.
That intercontinental range, deep penetration, the sheer power to dissuade, all of it. So this isn't just about buying a new plane. It's about reclaiming a strategic tool. If you're following the power dynamics in the Pacific, you have to understand this one platform. Okay, let's start with the geography, because this is Australia's eternal problem, the tyranny of distance.
Right. It's a massive continent-sized fortress. Fantastic for home defense. It's incredibly tough to invade.
But that same size becomes a nightmare when you try to project power outward.
Which you have to do if you want to protect your interests across the Indo-Pacific sea lanes.
Let's get technical for a second on the current limits. You look at the combat radius of an F-35, how far it can fly, fight, and get back home.
You're talking about, what, roughly 1,100 kilometers on its own fuel?
Which means, on a map, that without tanker support, Australian F-35s can barely stretch beyond the Indonesian archipelago.
Right. To run a mission into, say, the South China Sea, you'd need multiple tankers flying in very vulnerable airspace. It's a logistical tether that just dramatically limits their influence. They are on a short leash.
And this is happening right where Australia needs to be a player. The South China Sea, the Taiwan Strait, all those shipping lanes.
And this weakness is exactly what other powers are leveraging. I mean, look at China. It's pushing its influence out with incredible speed, building and militarizing island bases across the South China Sea.
Creating what they call an A2AD bubble, anti-accessory denial.
For you listening, think of it as a strategic cage. It's built out of long-range missiles, advanced radar, air defenses.
And they're pushing that cage closer and closer.
Precisely. And in doing so, they're making Australia's short-range fighters less and less relevant for any kind of proactive deterrence.
So the current Air Force can bark loudly from inside its own fence.
But it can't really reach out in might? Not anymore. And that undermines their whole status as a regional security partner.
It's not just physical, it's psychological. The F-111 gave them what analysts called reach parity. Other powers knew Australia could hit back deep and fast.
That fear factor, that's what was lost in 2010.
And that leads us directly to the replacement, the Ghost Spear, the B-21 Raider.
It's really important to understand that this is not just an updated bomber.
You hear bomber and you think heavy, slow lumbering.
Yeah, and that completely misses the point. A better way to think about it is as a penetrating strike platform. It's a sixth-generation, long-range, ultra-stealthy weapon system.
Sixth generation. That's a key term.
It's a massive leap. We're talking sensor fusion, AI integration, connectivity. It's not just built to drop bombs. It's designed to be a central node in a huge digital battlefield.
Okay, so let's talk capability. How does this solve Australia's geography problem? They've got secure airfields, but they are thousands of kilometers from any potential fight.
The B-21 is designed for exactly that scenario. It can take off from a secure base deep inside Australia, say RAAF base Amberley.
Right.
It crosses thousands of kilometers of ocean, and then, this is the critical part, it uses its stealth to slip completely unseen through the most sophisticated air defenses on the planet.
And the sources are explicit here. It's designed to beat the systems China's deploying right now.
It's an invisible wolf. It gets in, delivers its payload, conventional, nuclear, whatever, with pinpoint accuracy, and then it's heading home before the other side even knows they've been hit.
And that restores strategic depth. You don't have to move your assets closer to the fight where they become targets themselves.
Exactly. You launch from secure, sovereign territory. It just massively reduces the risk.
Tell us a bit more about the tech, because we hear stealth all the time. But the B-21 is supposedly in a different league.
It is. We're way beyond just reducing the radar signature. Analysts are talking about advanced materials, thermal suppression, making it nearly invisible across multiple spectrums. Radar, infrared, maybe even visual.
So it's built to counter future radar systems that aren't even fully fielded yet.
That's the idea, to guarantee it stays relevant for decades.
Which is key, right? Especially with Australia's budget. You spend this much, it can't be obsolete in 15 years.
And that's where open architecture comes in. Think of it like a smartphone. Instead of costly, long redesigns for upgrades, you can just push new software, new sensors, new weapons to it.
So it's an evolving platform, not a fixed piece of hardware.
It's designed to have a 50-year service life.
And it's more versatile than just a classic bomber.
Absolutely. It can carry a huge conventional payload, yes. But it's also an incredible intelligence and reconnaissance platform. It can go into contested airspace, gather intel for the whole force.
It can even act as a sort of flying command center.
Right. Orchestrating swarms of those cheaper, unmanned, loyal wingman drones.
So it's not just replacing the F-111's deep strike.
Right.
It's a strategic multiplier that Australia just does not have right now.
It's the F-111's soul reincarnated, but in the body of a UFO.
That brings the psychological impact back.
Completely. The adversary knows something can hit them, but they'll never know when or from where.
So we've established the need, the capability, and the obstacles. Australian defense analysts, the ones focused purely on strategy, they're basically unanimous.
They see it as a fundamental choice. With the B-21, Australia becomes a major strategic player again. Independent. A powerful deterrent.
A porcupine, not a puppy, as one analyst put it.
Right. Without it, they remain structurally dependent on the U.S. for any real deep strike conflict. They're just another ally waiting for help.
But reality bites. And there are two massive obstacles here. Money and politics. Let's start with the money.
The flyaway cost is estimated at around $750 million US per plane. But the real cost for Australia would be far, far higher.
Because you have to factor in their share of R&D, decades of maintenance, infrastructure.
Hardened hangars, secure networks, specialized training, everything.
So buying, say, a dozen planes isn't just an expense, it's an astronomical commitment. It would require a fundamental generational shift in their entire defense budget.
And the cost is only half the battle. The politics are arguably even more complex.
Because this is the crown jewel of U.S. military tech.
Absolutely. Its predecessor, the B-2 Spirit, was never exported. Not to anyone, not even the UK.
So for Washington to sell this to Australia would be a monumental decision. You're essentially giving away decades of technological secrets. Why would the U.S. even consider it?
The sources all point to one thing: AUKUS.
The nuclear submarine deal.
That deal was the ultimate demonstration of trust. It showed an unprecedented willingness from Washington to share its most sensitive technology with Canberra.
And the whole geopolitical board has changed since the 90s.
Exactly. Washington now sees that a powerful, capable Australia isn't a competitor, it's an essential frontline partner in the Indo-Pacific.
So denying them the one weapon that best solves their biggest strategic problem
Would be a self-defeating move for the whole alliance. AUKUS creates the political pathway to overcome that old B-2 export ban.
So as we wrap this up, the B-21 isn't just an aircraft. It's the potential correction of that strategic mistake from 2010. It's the platform that could restore Australia's strategic soul.
In the vast, empty theater of the Pacific where the adversary is building these strategic cages, range isn't just a nice feature, it's everything. The B-21 delivers that.
Which leaves us with the ultimate question for Canberra, and really for any ally trying to afford modern deterrence. Considering the astronomical cost, the generational commitment, and yet the clear strategic necessity that every serious analyst points to. Should Australia be willing to mortgage its future defense budget to acquire this one capability? Or is there another smarter way to solve that tyranny of distance? That's the choice you, the listener, get to weigh.